Welcome back to the Student Hub Live. Well, this is our Refreshers Orientation Week here in late January 2018. Student Hub Live is an online interactive community event. We've had some brilliant sessions this morning, and this is our afternoon programme now, which I'm really looking forward to. So this morning we introduced you to some key members of the Open University and talked a little bit about university and what that university community might look like and how so much has changed in terms of the videos and things that we used to get in the olden days and how brilliant online studying can be now. We also looked at the library services and career services and talked about how they will help you as OU students right from day one of your studies. And we've shown you lots of various things, including student support teams who you might go to for help and support and guidance along the way. And indeed, we've had Zach and Maria from the student support team on our hot desk this afternoon and this morning. So they've been filling in your questions. But now we turn to a slightly different angle and we look at what student support teams can do for STEM students. Now, STEM students, like all students, will have certain specific needs that are generic. But for some students studying science, technology, engineering and maths, they might have some different challenges along the way. And so we wanted to offer a session specifically for them. Now, we've asked you which level you're studying, so you will see on our interactive voting tools that you can select level 1, level 2, level 3. Again, these are just a heuristic, just to sort of get a sense of who's out there right at the moment watching this live with us now. We've also, again, got some very broad categories asking which subject area you're studying: STEM, social sciences, faculty of business and law or other. Again, appreciate it's difficult to sort of categorise, but again, it's useful just to know. And if you're not studying science, technology, engineering and maths, I can see why they call it STEM, then stay tuned in anyway because there'll be lots of relevant stuff in this session. We're also asking about how you feel about starting your next module, and this is a word cloud. Now, if you haven't done one of these before, you'll see 3 boxes. We need 3 things, or your results won't submit. So put a cross or a 0 or a full stop even if you can't think of 3 things, and then you will see everybody else's answer, as you will do after you've engaged with the other interactive widgets. Now, HJ and Zach are on our hot desk. HJ and Zach, what did you have for lunch?
I had a chicken and bacon club, which was delicious, and some salt and vinegar crisps. So I'm feeling refreshed, revitalised, and ready to rock and roll.
I had a wrap, which unfortunately was not a champagne wrap, as has been suggested. I know Jill has cheese on toast, which always sounds like nice and warm and homely. Oh, yeah. And there was some talks about a couple of different pies from Davin as well. So it sounds like all very comfort food at the moment, which, well, it is kind of still winter, isn't it? So I suppose that's a good thing. And we've got a session later looking at how to keep going through the winter, so maybe some good food is one of them.
I reckon cheese on toast definitely counts.
Oh, well. Yeah. In fact, I don't even know what the weather's like outside because we're in our studio. In fact, Alan might be able to get our map up for us as well because we've been filling in where people are in the country right now, and that's always good to see also. OK, well, joining me to discuss your STEM SST is Annette, Hughes and John Woodthorpe. Now, Annette, you're a senior manager. You work within the student support team, the SST. And John, you are a senior lecturer, aren't you? And also you do a lot of tutoring.
Not anymore. I've tutored for about 27 years, but
that's a lot.
I've been let off for good behaviour, I think, now. So I don't have a group of my own students. I feel very strange this time of the year in that I'm not excitedly looking through my list of students and trying to picture where they are and looking forward to how they'll do in their studies. It's very odd, but in other ways it's quite freeing in that I don't have to mark their TMAs anymore.
I think I was going to say, as sort of a key faculty lead working with the SST though, so John probably does have his pupils and our staff because he's constantly sitting amongst us, working with us to help our staff sort of build up their specialist knowledge, if you like, about the subject areas and how they can use that to give the best advice and guidance possible. So there you go, John.
So
we're your new pupil.
Part of my job is working as the link between the people who produce the modules and the people who support the students in Manchester in the SST.
There's so much that goes on behind closed doors here, so much effort into supporting our students.
Yeah.
Now, I was at a session the other day and Josie Fraser, the Executive Dean, was talking about how we teach our students. And we were talking about online things. She showed this video of this amazing range of things that STEM students do. Right, so I'm often working in FAS, and I got a bit jealous because I thought, hang on, these people have these digital microscopes, they've got these pendulums, they've got all of these various things. So STEM students do have a slightly different experience in terms of some of the things that they're doing, which are different. And I wanted to cover some of the generic ways because I think, you know, equally if they are watching this as their one SST session, we should cover the basics as well. But there are lots of different things that they might be doing which are slightly different in terms of navigating certain technologies, etc. So I wondered if we could sort of focus then on what makes STEM students different and what sort of challenges they might have that they might need to come to their SST as opposed to their tutor for. How might you sum that up?
Well, I suppose the simple answer is that you go to your tutor if it's anything that's related to the module that you're studying, the content of it, your assignment. I don't understand how to do this, helping with the referencing, those sorts of things. And anything to do with the business of being a student, then you talk to the SST folk. So I'm having problems with getting my loan in place, or I'm trying to think of my next module. I'm struggling a little bit and might need to reduce my the number of modules I'm studying. Those kinds of things. But I suppose our rule of thumb, as we were talking earlier, was that actually it doesn't really matter in the long run who you talk to, because if you talk to the wrong person, then we'll point you to the right one.
Yeah.
So if you talk to your tutor about something that they can't help you with, then they will do what they can, but they will point you back to the SST, and vice versa. If you contact the SST and it turns out that some of the things you're worried about are actually things that the tutor can help you with, they'll point you back to your tutor. So contact us, talk to us is the main message, and don't worry too much about getting it right. You'll gradually get the hang of it.
Because one of the things, again, like behind closed doors that I think students don't necessarily know is that we've got these various student support teams. We've shown them some videos of the one over the road, for example, and you are based in Manchester. Again, students don't need to worry about the complexities of who to go to. It's all triaged really neatly and nicely. So whilst there's this amazing web of support with all these specialist teams and knowledge, students are going to get put to the right place. So basically it's your tutor or your student support team.
Yes.
One or the other should get you to the right place.
And if it involves a department even outside ours, if students have problems with their degree ceremony or other things, then we're sort of like the glue really, or the links that can sort of get them what they need from another department as well. And I think the other side of, in terms of what support is available for students, is clearly what's available online to students through Student Home in particular, and that can give them the route to us as well. And it's, I think one of our key messages is, if you think you need some help, extra something, anything, then look at it as early as possible and try online. And if you can't find what you think you need there, then get in touch with us, because then there's a lot we can do, or we can help you navigate if it is actually online but you just haven't been able to access it. But a lot of the services, you can email us through Student Home and so on, if that's preferable to sort of calling us up or anything if you need help.
Now, some students will be studying STEM subjects as part of a STEM qualification. Some will be doing it as part of an open degree, for example, if they just have a very, an interest in something. But broadly speaking, there are certain things that students will need to do. Now, you say ask for help, but some students might not know that they need help, or even that there's help available. And one thing I know from my extensive looking on places like Open Learn and Future Learn and even just Googling OU material, is that there's a range of stuff out there. Now, the tutor, as you say, John, is really there for academic support, particularly, I guess, module-related support.
Yes.
But the SST is pretty much everything else. That's probably most things. So if in doubt, it's probably the first point of call. Tell us about some of the things that you might help students with. I mean, I know when I was teaching on a level 1 STEM subject, a lot of people were really worried about maths, and they were saying, they ignored the physics, but they were worried about the maths, and they were saying, well, I'm really worried because actually I really hated maths in school and I'm dreading this. And actually the maths we were teaching them wasn't the sort of maths that they thought they were going to learn about at school. It was logic or something completely different. But some students do have those anxieties. How do you support those students, and what resources you were talking about might you point them in the direction of?
Yeah, I think all of our staff in the SST, in the student support side, all the roles. We've had extra sort of training, if you like, from all the different schools within STEM. And I think you're right to point out maths is almost like the thread that runs through all of the subjects. And I think we recognise right from when people are thinking about studying, or students who've now signed up for it and are choosing their next modules, quite a number do have that kind of fear, if you like, and possibly try to make choices that avoids it, or don't ask for help as early as they need to. And in the student support team, I think our role is to kind of recognise that and to sort of help offer options, if you like. So that could be some extra sessions with a tutor, which we can broker with lecturer services, or it could be some extra materials that are available. So there's part, is it called Maths Choices, isn't it, John?
And there's Maths Help,
and Maths Help,
.open.ac.uk as well. So there is a lot there to help, and the tutors can do a lot. And if a student is really, really worried, they should talk to their tutor about this, and they should talk to the SST about it. I know myself that when you're struggling with something, one of the temptations is just to sort of put it to one side and leave it for another day, and it'll be all right, it'll go away, I don't need to worry about it. And then you come back to it a week or two later and it's still a problem, and you think, should I go and ask for help, or should I just try and struggle on? And you tend not to want to make too much of a fuss. That's not really a good way of working when you're trying to cope with studying the material and understanding it. If you are worried about the maths, and you know, we'll be honest, there is maths in the things that we teach, and you need to be able to cope with a certain level of maths as you go through. But we provide modules to support you in that, to help you to develop the skills. We recognise a lot of people have had poor experiences at school and are frightened of it, but it's not as bad as you think. And if you talk to us early enough and talk to your tutor early enough about these sorts of problems, we can try and help them. We can try and find ways of getting you to understand the subject, so that it's no longer the problem that you thought it was. And that can be such a relief and help you through the rest of your studies once you've got over that particular hurdle.
And from our point of view, in the student support team, where we are trying to help students plan their next steps, or even keep them focused on what their actual ultimate goal is, and other services can help with that, such as the career service. It really can be a problem if you try and avoid something, because it reduces the choices that you have. And ultimately, if you have got an end goal, that's what you need to keep the focus on and put the right things in place to get you there. And between us, because we talk all the time, don't we, John? Yes. That's what we can do. And the John's equivalent, if you like, for maths said the main thing is you can get better if you access the help and you practice. They described it as like keeping fit, and that you can get in maths shape the more you practice.
Well,
So
the maths help is brilliant, I know, because I went through it all, and we in fact have a whole series of Student Hub Live sessions on the various components of that. It was really helpful and really useful upskilling. But one of the things I wanted to ask you is this distinction between sort of identifying something as a problem, as in, I really don't like maths, I know there's maths coming up, or, as I think you were sort of trying to intimate, that there might be some maths in the module that you perhaps are postponing because you don't understand it. So where is there the difference between the conceptual barrier and maybe the real barrier in terms of what you're studying? My question really is, when do you worry and when do you ask for help?
You ask for help as soon as you start to feel worried. The same goes...
You'll only send them off and do maths. Do they need to do the maths?
Well, yes. Your tutor can help explain the purpose of the maths there. And it's not just maths, it could be programming, for example, for the computing and IT students. And I'm from the computing and IT side. And we will have students who, similar to the maths problems, think that computing, that programming is something that you're born able to do and you can't learn, when in fact exactly the opposite is the case, and it's the same with maths. So there are techniques, there are ways of working up, there are things you can do to practice, as Annette says, the keeping fit approach to things. So it's talk to your tutor. They will want to help you, they will want to see you make progress. And if you talk to them early enough, they can help you. Yes, it is a matter of finding things for you to do to help you to understand and to work through the problems. But it, again, coming back to the getting fit analogy, it's part of the exercising, part of the routine. These are things that can be learnt. They aren't things that are innate. There's no such thing as someone who is incapable of learning how to program or is learning how to do, incapable of learning how to do basic maths.
Okay, well, this is all good. I mean, Jill's saving the links to her favourites for when she needs them. Good tip, Jill. Your jumper has its own fan club as well, John, so you'll be delighted that you didn't have to put your reserve jumper on. And in other lunchtime news, Amy is eating butternut squash risotto. In her undergraduate days, she had beans on toast, but she's elevated the eating now, so that's brilliant to hear. Sounds delicious, Amy. Chloe is eating pasta out of the packet because she feels more like a student. And Jill has stocked up on popcorn. Yes, you will need that, Jill, a little bit later. So, we've got a lot of level 1 students here. 53% are studying STEM at last count. And I wanted to talk about this whole idea. I know you bought some study materials and boxes, and I wanted to talk about what the SST could do in terms of those sorts of things as well. So you've talked about some of the help, some of the support, the fact, again, that there's this whole relationship between understanding when you need the support and when it might be appropriate, which you would guide the students through. Yes. So not just telling everyone to do maths, but talking about when and when they might find it useful, etc. And also, I guess, what's embedded in the module. The student support team will have that specialist knowledge, as you say, Annette, about which particular pathways require which skills, and you can up and, you know, support those skills as you need to. But let's talk about some of these module materials, because you bought a box along, and we all love our boxes, smaller as they are getting. So what is this module, and why is this box so important, John?
This module is U101, which is in the Engineering and Innovation curriculum. Otherwise,
John, is that box the right way up?
Lovingly known as Lola.
Ah. You've had an error here with the typing, I see.
In that whichever way round it says something. I bought this in really to remind me to say that at the moment, over the last few weeks and even through to today, some of the folk in the student support team are calling up students, new students, are telephoning them and just checking that they're okay. Do you know what you're supposed to be doing? Has the module materials come? Have you got somewhere to do your studying? Is there anything we can help you with? And one of the things that regularly comes out from those conversations is the students who have excitedly got their module materials, but feel that because the module doesn't start until Saturday, they can't open it. And so what I really want to do is to say to students, if you've got anything sent to you through the post, and especially if you're lucky enough for it to be as exciting as you get on U101 with a T-shirt even. On U101.
Note the absence of books, people.
No other modules do this, but the purpose of the T-shirt is explained very clearly
what is
in the
U101?
module materials. U101 is a design module, so it's one of those modules that's in the engineering curriculum, and it tries to help you think a bit differently about the things that you see around you and to think about why they are how they are. It's a module that if I ever do get time, I want to do because I'm that kind of person. But whatever your module, whether you get just an envelope with a few pieces of paper in, or whether you get some printed material, or whether you do get something as exciting as this, look at it early. The module websites are open now. They've been open for a few weeks. Look at those. Don't just wait until the first day of the module to start looking through the material. Hopefully you've heard from your tutor as well. And you can make contact with them. You can talk to them even before the module starts. Again, I've as a tutor myself, when I did look after my own group of students, I would contact them before the module started, as soon as I got the list of names. And sometimes they'd come back to me and say, "Oh, thanks, I didn't realise I could talk to you before the module started." Well, yes, you can. That's why I've been in touch with you.
Okay, so I want to talk about the tutor thing because those are being allocated right now. Some students, in particular those who've maybe registered late, may not have a tutor. What piece of advice would you give, in particular from your 27 years of being a tutor, would you say is the best way to make contact? We do have a session on this though tomorrow, so you don't need to cover this in detail, John.
You will probably get an email from your tutor, and that's how we tend to work, that we will make contact. Sometimes you'll see our contact details before we get yours, and you're very, very welcome to make contact as well. Email is the main way, and it used to be telephone, and before that it used to be letter. But now most of my students have contacted me by email over the last few years. Telephone is more for those long, complicated discussions when, you know, I really don't understand how the module materials get this answer from this starting point. Can you explain it to me? That's really difficult to do by email because it takes several days to go through stuff and you don't get to see the person's misunderstandings. So I would say talk to your tutor early, respond to their email, or email them yourself and say hello and tell them a little bit about yourself. And it goes back to what I said earlier about if you're having problems, don't go quiet on your tutor. If they're trying to contact you, it's probably because they've got something they want to pass on, something they want to ask you, something they want to check with you. If you think you're falling behind with the module, it's very tempting to just put that to one side and try and catch up and not talk to them. So I'd say tutors are very happy if you go quiet, as long as they know you're okay. We worry when we don't hear from someone for quite a long while, and we'll try and see if there's anything we can do to help. So keep in touch, really.
Yeah. I was just going to mention, as John mentioned, one of the things that we're trying to do and working more closely together is to work together also on possibly contacting students, you know, if one of us is struggling, if you like, that we think, you know, might need some extra help and support. I mean, clearly, one of the things we've been saying all the way through so far is if you do need something, get in touch with us. But lots of people don't, even though they probably do. So I think we're trying to be more proactive in making contact, just to check if people are okay and open up that opportunity for them to respond and say, actually, I'm not, can I speak to somebody? And if you do that early on, it can save a lot of time and cost, to be quite honest with you, later on, because there are things we can do and sort out or so on. But the longer you go on into a module or something and, you know, maybe not doing well or not happy with it or whatever, the more that you possibly incurring fee liability and so on. So so we're not just kind of waiting for you, but that's our preference. We are making every effort, working with each other to say, can we do more to be proactive in supporting students?
Perhaps a concrete example or two. I mean, if as a student you miss your TMA and you haven't talked to your tutor to get an extension for it, then your tutor is going to start worrying about you, and we are going to start worrying about you. And so sooner or later, someone's going to make contact, and that will probably be your tutor at first, but it might also be the student support team if you've missed several TMAs, or if we can see that you've missed several TMAs on several modules at the same time. So if we start to worry about you, we'll see if we can find you and help.
I like the word you're using, worry, because I think it is that. And I think there are so many times when I've eventually got hold of a student who has, you know, had something happen in their lives that's meant that they couldn't study. It's not their fault necessarily.
No,
and often they'll say at the end of that, I'm so glad I've spoken to you. I'm so relieved because now we've got a plan. And there are so many ways we can make plans. And I don't want to go into detail about that too much now, because Juliana's thinking about switching to engineering so she can get this box. And people are talking about what is on this T-shirt. Not all boxes are this exciting. And in fact, one of the things I wanted to end with, because we are running short on time and I don't want to duplicate what's in our other SST session and indeed our video that's going to follow, is this idea that a lot of STEM students will be needing to access things online and doing things like I spoke about, like with microscopes, etc. Now, for some students, in particular some students with disabilities, that can present challenges. So I wanted to talk to the about what the SST can do in terms of supporting those students who either through disability or perhaps lack of confidence might struggle with some of those more virtual learning environment-based activities?
Yeah, I mean, we again work together with many other people to do this, and there are a lot of the resources for certain modules have been adapted, or there's different kinds of things to help people with certain disabilities, but how much somebody might struggle is very individual. It depends on their particular disability. So I would urge people to have a look. So there's sections on student homeschooling resources and additional things, and have an explore. You know, don't wait till you come across a problem, just see what's out there and see if there's things that might help you there. In terms of the student support team, the best idea, if you do think you've got some additional needs or disability, is to sort of say so. And you can do that again through Student Home, or you can call up. And then what we do, this is kind of done by the disability support team, but we work closely with them, is to sort of develop a profile with you of what you think your additional needs are, so that we can make sure that if you need alternative materials or different access, that we're aware of those. And more importantly, that information's shared with your tutor, so your tutor knows if they need to adapt the way they're doing things for you to give you more help. So I think really for students that do need more help, it's all about us working closely together, but it's got to be based on your individual needs. I think it's fair to say, isn't it, John, that not just in STEM, but perhaps some of the STEM subjects, though some things might be more difficult, and
Yeah.
you know, we have to either find different ways around those, or sometimes alternative pathways or something.
Yes.
I don't know if you want to pick that one up.
Again, some examples. All of the material on the website for each of the modules, all of the images should have detailed descriptions of them. So it says what the image is,
Yeah.
Or if it's purely there for decoration, it will say that. The videos that we have built into some of the websites will have transcripts with them, and sometimes if they're trying to get across information in the pictures themselves, descriptions of that as well. So we do those things, and actually a lot of the time the students who can see and hear okay want those facilities as well, because those descriptions are easy to search and to just flick through later. So there's that. There's also the need to do particular things on screen. It might not necessarily be online, but it could be on screen. So some of the programming stuff, for example, works much better, is easier to do on screen, because you're putting the program in and you're running it and you're trying to see if it works. Now, you might be able to manage with a screen reader with assistive technology. There are various ways of handling various of the software applications that are used. And again, it's a matter of asking about that.
Yeah.
But also looking in the module description on Study at the OU. That will have some information about the particular things that might cause you problems. And with a lot of our modules, increasingly there's now an accessibility guide that with all of the things that you might need, it tries to set out if you're hearing impaired, if you're visually impaired, if you have muscle problems, these are the sorts of things you need to be aware of. These are the ways we can try and help you.
The key message is to tell us, and then we can put things into place. And that also goes for when you're coming up to take an exam. Right now we've got staff working in the SST for people that have said, I've got an issue and I think I'm going to need some different arrangements to successfully take my exam. And we're working on those now, ready for June exams, which I know won't affect the students starting now. But again, it's like, you know, don't struggle on, don't use the materials online, but if you tell somebody, there's lots of things that we can do to help and support.
Brilliant. OK, well, that has been so helpful. We've got so much to cover and we're out of time, I'm afraid. So I just want to promote, because I know a lot of STEM students are watching this, One of the things that you might experience as a STEM student is this issue of study intensity, in that you might have a 30-point module, you might have a 60-point module, there may be some overlap. So we've got a specific session that you'll find very useful and interesting around that. And also with that seasonality, we have an issue around studying around the holidays. Again, how to fit work in with study can sometimes be an issue as well for students, in particular when you perhaps need to access a computer and you maybe can't study on the beach like you'd want to if you had a nice book or something. But thank you very, very much. And I really hear the take-home messages to speak to the student support, identify what the issues are when you know about them, and really try and engage with the support that you can have. And I guess let your imaginative team come up with solutions that really are all about enabling students to keep studying and to keep motivated, and ultimately to do what's right for them in their study journey at that particular time.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Annette and John. We're going to have a short video now. In fact, it's a bit of a longer video. We're going to show you the student support team. This is a video we showed you earlier, but it gives you a brief insight into what the student support team looks like, although this is a different one to the one that's in Manchester. This is the one over the road in Milton Keynes, and you'll see Zach on that video as well, and some of his colleagues who explain the sorts of things that they deal with on a day-to-day basis. Then I'll see you back for a session with Emma, which is about studying with mental health difficulties. See you soon.